Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. When talent meets the limits of structure, anatomy of tragedy, how things fall apart. Lamar Jackson didn't fail on the field. He didn't regress. He didn't lose his talent. He didn't stop producing. And yet, the situation around him began to fracture. This is not a story about a bad season. This is not a story about a single negotiation. It is not even a story about money. It is a story about what happens when excellence grows faster than the structures designed to contain it. Because tragedy doesn't always announce itself through collapse, sometimes it arrives quietly while everything still looks successful. This is anatomy of tragedy. This is how things fall apart. In the beginning, Lamar Jackson solved the problems. He didn't just win games, he redefined what was possible inside an offense. Defenses bent, playbooks expanded, records fell. Lamar Jackson entered the league in 2018 and immediately broke assumptions about what an NFL quarterback could be. He rushed for more than he rushed more than any other quarterback in modern history. Over 1,000 rushing attempts, more than 6,000 rushing yards, nearly 1,000 rushing yards per season. And that rushing threat didn't replace passing, it amplified it. Over 33,000 passing yards per year, a completion percentage hovering around 65%, 158 first downs per year through the air, and another 57 first downs per year with his legs. This wasn't gimmick production, this was systemic domination. The Ravens didn't just build an offense around Lamar, they reoriented their entire identity around him. And for a time, it worked beautifully. Two MVP awards quieted doubt. Wins validated the approach. The system felt complete. And when a system works, well, its success becomes its own justification. But beneath the wins, pressure accumulated quietly. The NFL does not evaluate quarterbacks emotionally, it evaluates them structurally. Quarterbacks are investments, assets protected by guarantees, durability models, and predictability. And Lamar Jackson existed in between worlds, too dynamic to categorize easily, too successful to dismiss, too unconventional to fit legacy templates. When players don't fit templates, institutions struggle to price them. This was about doubt in Lamar's. This wasn't about doubt in Lamar's talent. It was about risk modeling. The league had learned how to ensure quarterbacks who win from the pocket, avoid contact, resemble historical precedents. Lamar broke every one of those assumptions, not recklessly, but undeniably. And systems fear what they cannot compare. The NFL does not fear risk in the abstract, it fears unmodeled risk. There is a crucial difference here. Every quarterback carries injury risk, every contract carries a downside, but most quarterbacks fit inside existing actuarial logic. They get hurt in familiar ways. They age on familiar curves. They fail inside familiar parameters. Lamar Jackson does not. His excellence forces the league to confront a problem it prefers to avoid. That is, what happens when the most valuable player on the field does not resemble the players who came before him? NFL front offices are not staffed by philosophers. They are staffed by analysts, by lawyers, by risk managers. Their job is not to be correct, it is to be defensible. And defensibility depends on precedent. You can justify overpaying a pocket passer by pointing to history. You can justify guarantees by pointing to comparables. You can justify patience by pointing to longevity curves. But Lamar's curve bends away from precedent. He doesn't slide neatly into the past, and that makes the future harder to ensure. This is not fear of Lamar Jackson. This is fear of being the first. Because the first institution to fully commit to a new archetype absorbs all the blame if it fails, while the second reaps the reward if it succeeds. And institutions hate asymmetrical blame. Make no mistake, Lamar Jackson has never been unsure of who he is. The identity crisis surrounding him was never his, it belonged to everyone else. Lamar has always seen himself as a quarterback, a leader, a winner, an athlete, a disciplined professional. The struggle came from institutions trying to reduce that complexity. Was he a running quarterback, a passing quarterback, a system quarterback, a franchise cornerstone? Each label carried financial consequences. Lamar wasn't just negotiating value, he was negotiating recognition, and the structure did not know how to hold all of it at once. This is where tragedy begins, not when talent falters, but when identity becomes incompatible with structure. Baltimore Ravens did not doubt Lamar's impact, they doubted precedent. NFL franchises are built on comparison. Who was paid before? How long did they last? What did failure look like the last time? Guarantees are not football questions, they are institutional questions. And imagination threatens institutions built on precedent. There were moments when alignment was possible, moments when guarantees could have been structured creatively, moments when flexibility could have replaced rigidity. None of those moments required surrender, only imagination. But imagination would have required the Ravens to treat Lamar as a new category, not a deviation from an old one. And institutions rarely create new categories unless forced to. Around Lamar Jackson, contracts were being signed, quarterbacks with fewer accolades, quarterbacks with less production, quarterbacks who had never carried an offense the way Lamar did. They were paid because they were legible. They looked like quarterbacks the system already understood. Their play styles aligned with historical success models. Their injury risk fit actuarial expectations. Their identities did not challenge the structure. Lamar's did. Not because he was reckless, but because his excellence crossed boundaries. He was too productive as a runner to be treated like a passer, too efficient as a passer to be treated like a runner, too successful to dismiss, too different to standardize. The tragedy is not that Lamar was undervalued. The tragedy is that the system could not agree on what he was and is today. And when systems cannot agree on identity, they delay commitment. Do you see a trend? Delay becomes leverage. Oh, and leverage becomes pressure. Then pressure becomes fracture. Not because anyone intends it, but because indecision is structurally safer than imagination. As negotiations dragged on, narratives filled the vacuum, stories leaked, interpretations hardened, speculation became fact. Lamar chose to negotiate without an agent. That decision shifted pressure inward. He became the player, the negotiator, the strategist, the shield. Institutions prefer intermediaries. Agents absorb conflict. They smooth the narrative. They manage silence. Without one, silence becomes amplified. And silence in public systems is never neutral. Lamar believed his play spoke loudly enough that leadership could replace optics, that performance could substitute for narrative management. But the systems reward messaging, not moral clarity. This is not a collapse. Talent remains, production remains, health fluctuates, trust stretches thin. Every day without resolution narrows possibility, but speculation grows. Is it Minnesota that's interested in him? Will he be traded to Miami? Elsewhere? The longer uncertainty persists, the more the system teaches itself that even MVP level excellence can be delayed. The lesson does not stay contained. This moment is not isolated. It teaches every quarterback watching what happens when excellence exceeds familiarity. It teaches them that innovation is celebrated until it demands structural change. It teaches them that MVPs do not guarantee security, that production does not guarantee trust, that identity still matters more than outcome. It also teaches institutions something dangerous, that delay is power, that waiting costs less than committing, that uncertainty shifts pressure inward. And once a system learns that lesson, it does not unlearn it easily. This is how tragedy spreads, not through imitation, but through incentive alignment. The next player who challenges precedent will face the same pause, the same silence, the same narrative distortion, not because the system is cruel, but because it has learned that cruelty is unnecessary. It spreads. This is how systems recalibrate expectations. Lamar Jackson didn't face tragedy because he lacked leverage. He faced it because excellence strained the structures meant to support it. Tragedy doesn't arrive with failure. It arrives when success becomes incompatible with the system designed to contain it. This has been anatomy of tragedy, not when things fall apart, but when they never quite fit together again. If you want to understand collapse before it happens, please subscribe because who hasn't faced tragedy?